Hey there, Uni-Warriors, EnnuiGoblin here once again, bringing you to the latest in Uni-War action. Here we are at long last, taking a look at the risky business 2v2 Grand Final Series between Team New Earth and Team GD. It's been a very long and challenging road for both of these teams, but the finish line and the final title are within the grasp of all the players here today. Team New Earth and Team GD coming out of the semi-finals with very different strategies that ended up putting them here in the final match. Team New Earth against their opponents Chaitan, pulling a more grinding victory, really making their strategy about maintaining a effective kill count advantage throughout the course of the game, whereas Team GD against their opponents Beer Powered, going for more of a gambit victory, pulling an early base cap at the expense of a disadvantage in their kill count, and nearly falling victim to a counterattack on their center base, but managing to repel the base, keep the kill count advantage, and take the win against Team Beer Powered overall. And now it will be Team GD against New Earth for the final title. I really can't imagine a game I've casted yet that has so much talent concentrated into one match. This is really a perfect example, I think, of what happens when you pit top dog against top dog. I cannot wait to see what level of style and inventiveness these two teams are going to bring out. That's the thing I'm excited about most. Both of these teams, all the players involved have shown that they are really excel at thinking on their feet and adjusting their strategy to the situation at hand. So I am just going insane with anticipation of this map. Without any further ado, let's take a look at the map overview now. And the map these players will be playing on is Bases G4 by Simsverd. This map's got an interesting open-ended style, but while it's a circular map, its semi-closed nature is going to, adjust the way these players are going to have to adapt. The initial credit count will be 150 per player with 150 per base, giving each player an opportunity to gain 450 per turn. After all, natural bases have been captured for each player. Looking at the map itself, positionally, it is going to be a Titan and Crawlian versus a Sapien team here. And the fact that there's going to be a double Sapien team is really going to force the Crawlian and Titan team to play a little bit more reactionary, unless they want to get hyper-aggressive. I believe that Crawl could use the extra movement points for the underling to really be a nuisance in base grabbing, because there are a lot of open bases to start with. The center base, if you can get a capture on the center base, it can be a fairly easy position to defend in the sense that there are these swamp tiles around it, so it's difficult. But if a helicopter approach comes up on the center base is suddenly very, very exposed and really difficult to defend with heavy ground units like, for example, plasma cannons or Pinzers will not be very good at effectively blocking this base. And if the Sapiens get a conquer on the center, it's also going to be very difficult. I think in the same sense it'll be difficult for them to prevent it, because Crawlian air forces will be able to make a very big approach. So the center base has its strengths and weaknesses for whoever wants to make the capture. Look for these bases on the outside that are the exposed bases on the conflicting borders between the players to be also focuses of potential base captures. They're very open, especially there are these two plain tiles around it. There's a hill tile above that's exposed. So having a full range of open tiles around it going to make these bases a little bit more vulnerable and possibly difficult to defend. So I think that's all we're going to see. I expect Marauders to really be a very valuable tool on this map as well. I see Marauder Helicopter being a very powerful combination, but at the same time, I see Speeders and Crawlian Air Forces as having a lot of natural counters to the ways that, depending on how many Marauders and Copters are going to come out, as well with Marines. And I think what's going to come down to this game is who has the best composition. The best composition is going to really be, can I counter the Titans and Crawlian? I think I'll have to a little bit more reactionary, but if they can be reactionary, get a good counter against the early builds from the double sat player, then it's going to really be anybody's game from there. So, playing on the bottom right side as the White Titans for Team GD, it's the Grudge. And his teammate playing on the top right side as the Red Crawlians, it's Gout. And their opponents playing on the bottom left-hand side for Team New Earth as the Black Sapiens, it's Earth! And his partner on the top left side as the Blue Sapiens for Team New Earth, it's Newbie! Without any further ado, let's get the match started underway here. And here on round 1, Earth going to get the initiative turn and pick up that northern central base first, coming out with another Marine to make another capture on the second turn. And Gout now going to move into the center as well and start, but he's opting not to go for the capture and look like he's going to be threatening the center instead. DeGrudge now making his capture as well, and Newbie going for his northern capture. Oh, and bringing out another Marine as well. And now Earth, how is he going to respond to this Crawlian threat? He's going to go for other natural capture and open up with Marine and Marauder here. And now Gout going for that center capture. It's an interesting gambit, like I said before. That base can be both easy and hard to hold on to depending on the composition. And now DeGrudge porting in his new mecha here to keep that Marauder from getting a shot up against the center. Newbie now making his approach. Is he going to opt to go for the base? He is, and the capture is going to go down. But a helicopter coming out, and the helicopter going to put a lot of pressure on that center base now. Earth bringing out his Marauder and going to try and get a shot off on some of these early mechas here. Getting a 5-3 exchange. Not a bad exchange at the bottom right now. And now Gout going to go for that last capture. And he's got a lot of bases, but does he have the units to keep it solidified? There is a Garuda and a Swarmer coming out there, and that might be a dangerous combination against that Copter, but that Marines can easily push those back with those mountain tiles. And now DeGrudge coming out with a Plasma Tank to solidify his position against those Plasmas. Newbie now bringing his Copter into the center, getting a 6-shot off that underling in the center. And more Marines coming in. Those Marines are going to put a lot of pressure on with those mountain tiles and that exposed center tile. That exposed center tile, that underling is going to go down. And there is the first blood, and Team New Earth picking up 100 credit counts and making the conversion with the Engineer, getting another 200 advantage and getting the cap in the center. And that Engineer just made a big swing against the game. Oh, wow. And now another Marauder coming up against for Team New Earth. And Doubt now going to have to respond with very big force against these Copters. Going to get a 4-shot on the Copter, and now a 2-shot with the Swarmer. And another Garuda coming up, but no kills yet. More Swarmers coming into the back as well for Gout. And DeGrudge going to have to port out some more mechas to try and keep the Marauder from getting shots on the other. And an Eclipse coming to try and deal with these Copter problems. Newbie now making his approach with that Marine, making a threat on that capped base next turn. He could get the capture. Newbie now using that Copter to get every piece of damage, and down goes the other Garuda. And now New Earth picking up 550 advantage. Even with the base capture, that 550 advantage, 650 credit advantage is going to be very difficult for Team GD to get over. And now Earth getting another shot against another Marine here. And Earth bringing up the capture. And here comes the capture into the center. And the center is going to absolutely be captured. I don't see any way for Team GD to prevent that capture from going down. And Earth now getting another Engineer on the bottom. And that Engineer is going to be getting some big EMP threats against that Plasma Tank. And here comes Gout now, going to try and finish off this Marauder here so that they no longer cap the base. And is the helicopter going to go down from this shot? And down goes the helicopter. And suddenly GD picking up the evening the kill count here, but still losing the center base to a big capture. And the problem is, even if they even it up, are they in the best of positions? Another Plasma Tank coming from DeGrudge, but these Plasmas are in danger of an EMP threat, and they're a little bit spread out. Newbie now using his Marine to get a big shot, and now the Marauder with the second. Is Garuda going down? Another Garuda kill here, and that's a big Garuda kill. That Garuda was a very important force multiplier, and without it, he's not going to be able to do the damage he needs next turn. Now Earth positioning more Marauders up to the north, going to make big threats against that exposed base up at the top. The Engineer coming in behind Engineer coming in behind, and the tank coming up front for the push. And here comes the heals off these Marauders. Marauders getting pulled back, and another Marine to solidify the position in the center. Big, really great solidification turn for Earth there. Gout now going to come swinging out with this Pinzer, trying to reduce some of this Marine count so that the Air Forces can make a better approach. Down goes another Marine, and evening up the kill count once again. And now the underling moving in, trying to chip away at that exposed Marine on the swamp tile. More Swarmers coming out from Gout now. DeGrudge starting to push forward with those tanks. That tank is going to be a little exposed to a potential EMP if it's not careful, though. But it is outside the range right now, so it should work out. The Eclipse and the Eclipse and Mecha is sitting behind, and another speeder as well. Here comes Newbie now, going to try and get away. He wants to eliminate these underlings, taking another shot and cleaning up that underling on the top here. Moving that other Marine off of the swamp tile and trying to block that underling from getting into the mountain tile right away. And now Earth. Here comes the push from the tank. He's going to have a second tank behind it, and those two tanks are going to be very difficult for that one plasma to deal with two tanks and an engineer. It's not enough. And now Earth making his approach onto the base. Those Marauders really stretching their legs with that damage, with that mobility possibilities. Swinging in, getting the underling, pulling them back. More heals on the Marauders as well. Here comes Gout with his Pinzer, and the Pinzer trying to get big shots against these Marines, and it looks like both of these Marines are going to go down this turn. First Marine getting shot down, and now the second one, and Team GD once again managing to keep this kill count advantage even. But every turn that there's an extra base in the center controlled by Team New Earth is 150 credits that Team GD is not going to be able to capitalize on. And now the speeder here are going to try and eliminate this Marine count. These Marines are going to be very powerful finishers with those two tanks making the threat, so you're going to have to chip them down now. And you certainly can't swing your speeder against the tank, so there's really not much for it to hit just yet. Newbie now continuing to use the copter aggression. These copters doing such a great job of chipping away those underlings. No underlings have been able to make an approach, and without underlings you can't really make base capture threats just yet. And now Earth getting a sacrifice hit with that Marine to get a big gang up bonus and a 3-6 shot against that speeder on the base. That's a big shot against it. Earth now continuing to aggress on these air units. He wants to reduce the swarmer count as much as possible. Willing to throw away a few Marines here to get better shots. It's really not a bad decision. They are ahead in position, if not... They're not yet ahead in credits, but in position with the base in the center, it's not a bad idea to sacrifice a few Marines to get better attacks. And here comes an attach from more Marauders. The Marauder getting a 5-shot on that underling on the base. And is that underling going to go down this turn? Yes, but there's nothing remaining for Team New Earth to cap it with just yet. But down goes another Swarmer. Team New Earth bringing themselves up to 1750 over 1400. And another copter coming out. And an Marine in the center, and that is just, you're now starting to see the effect of that extra base. Too many units are coming out on the board for Team GD to be able to handle. They are going to get a Marauder kill here, and these Swarmers are going to be able to get a couple one-shots off the tanks, but these tanks can afford to take a shot here, a shot there at this point. Right now, the more substantial hits are going to have to come out. Garuda Underling coming out. Here comes the UV from DeGrudge, and the UV might make things a little bit more manageable. The Eclipse now getting a nice little shot on that Marauder from behind the mecha. And finally DeGrudge is starting to be able to contribute a little bit more to the damage. Having those two plasma tanks kind of delayed his attack force, but now DeGrudge starting to come out swinging a little bit harder. Newbie now continuing to use so much aggression. These helicopters have gotten so much damage without anything in return. These helicopters have got to be dealt with soon. And now the other EMP coming from the other engineer here. And the Earth going to get a few free shots. Down goes the other speeder, evening up the kill count once again. And the Marauder coming in to get big shots against this Assimilator. Is the Assimilator going to go down this turn with the copter? It should, and down goes another 200 credits. New Earth bringing up to 220, and that Assimilator was an important unit right now. If he could keep it alive, you could get huge heals on those plasma tanks. But with those plasma cannons exposed to the EMP and without an Assimilator, that exposed plasma tank is going to go down very quickly. And now Earth continuing to eliminate these underlings so that they cannot make any base capture threats. And that tank now making a very dangerous threat on that base, at the exposed base at the top. This Garuda now coming down to deal with the threat, getting a 4-shot against the tank. That's a pretty decent shot, and this Swarmer going to come in and using that swamp, and down goes the tank. Oh, the tank is not going to go down this turn. Oh, but the last Swarmer is able to go. Really taking advantage of those swamp tiles. Those tanks don't fare well when they're on the swamp tiles. Normally those Swarmers aren't able to get shots, but that tank trying to make an approach on a swamp is going to leave it a little bit exposed. Team GD just barely pulling ahead in the kill count that turn. And now DeGrudge using that Eclipse. That Eclipse has got a couple of efficient kills on these Marines. Those Marines have really got to be able to reach that Eclipse to get it. And out comes the Walker from DeGrudge. And the Walker could be a big game changer here. That Walker is really well positioned. It's going to be almost impossible for Team New Earth to get a hit on it just right now. And the Walker is already in range of the center. And here come the copters from Team Newbie. Newbie now getting a 3-shot, and now using the +3 gang up is going to get a big shot. How much is it going to be? It's going to be a 3-shot against the Pinzer, and the Pinzer with that last helicopter just might be able to go down. I believe with the other Marauder should be just enough, and these helicopters now really starting to get a big advantage. Down goes another 450 kill count for Team New Earth. Team New Earth once again pulling into the lead here. Meanwhile, Earth continuing to take shots against these plasma cannons. And Earth trying to reduce the health on that Garuda up at the top. And now here comes the helicopter to get the big 5-shot against the Garuda. And the Garuda suddenly is going to be very vulnerable. Is he going to go down to this Marine right away? And down goes another Garuda. Now New Earth picking their credit kill up to 3,100. And Earth now, down goes another plasma cannon. And things are starting to spiral out of control for Team GD. Now Earth is getting double 2 heals on that Marauder as well, and these Marauders going to be like another conversion on that mecha. These engineers doing such an effective job of harassing the Titan player. And now Gout going to be bringing up these swarmers, trying to control this helicopter aggression, but these underlings are not able to contribute any damage, and the swarmers alone are just not enough. The swarmers opting to eliminate that other Marine so that it cannot threaten a base capture, and up comes another underling onto that position, and now out comes the Worm, and we do have a Worm and Walker combo. That's a really interesting combination. It's really not a bad decision as far as last stands go. And now these mechas going to try and control the situation with this converted Mecha 2. Down goes the Mecha 2. Team GD picking themselves up to 31, still 600 under. This mecha going to make an approach, and down goes the helicopter, and suddenly Team GD bringing themselves into another even match. Well, almost an even match. They still need to control the center. And now these helicopters from Nudie are going to continue to eliminate these underlings, and these underlings, they keep popping up to do nothing but prevent base captures. They haven't actually been able to contribute any damage at all yet. And now Newbie going to get the base cap and the 7-shot against the Swarmer, and the Swarmer is going to go down this turn. And another 250 picked up, 4,050 over 3,600 for Team New Earth. Team New Earth, even with that Worm, which is a natural counter against these copters, there are simply too many copters for that Worm to be an effective deterrent, and these copters now going to make the base capture, and that's a very strong base capture threat. And now Earth also bringing his helicopter to eliminate some of these mechas, is ending in the center still, pulling back his weakened Marauder to get a +2 heal on it. And these 3 tanks, even with the Walker, there's 3 tanks at that position. The Walker can only hit one at a time, so having these tanks continue their press all at the same time is making it really difficult for the Walker to be the deterrent it needs. And now the push, another Walker is needed to really get those tanks from making their approach. And here comes Earth, more Marines in the center, and another copter at the southern position, and a big +4 heal on that tank, and suddenly that push just got a lot stronger. Gout now trying to reduce this Marauder count, using that 5 health Worm to try and get a big shot against the copter. Is the copter going to survive this turn? Can the copter keep its cap? The Swarmer going to get a 2 damage, and it looks like the copter is not going to be eliminated just yet. And the cap will not be repelled. These underlings are not an effective... They're just not an effective way to fight against the copters, but he has to keep them up so that those case capsules, those bases don't get captured. This Eclipse will get a Marauder kill, and the credit count bringing it to only 200 under here, getting another kill against that converted Mecha 2 in the center. And suddenly, Team GD doing such a great job of, even at the base disadvantage, they have managed to keep the kill count even almost this entire game. And here comes the cap from this Marauder. The Marauder is going to eliminate yet another another underling, and this helicopter coming in, getting a 5-shot against that veteran Swarmer, and now that veteran Swarmer will go down to this 9 health copter, and another 250 credits going to Team New Earth, bringing them up to 4,900 over 4,300. And Team New Earth Newbie getting a free getting for exchanges with more of these underlings. These underlings have... This is the problem I've seen so far with this game. These underlings are just not getting an opportunity to contribute any damage. They're only getting built to die. Out come the copters from Earth here. Earth getting big shots against that Plasma Cannon. That Plasma Cannon getting weakened to a 3-shot. Plasma Cannon going down. Down it goes. Another 500 counts going into Team New Earth's abilities here. And Team New Earth pulling back their engineer to get some hails on that weakened Marauder in the back. And suddenly that Walker's starting to look a little exposed. He is up in a position where they can't get to him just yet, but one Marauder making an approach is all it would take to knock it down to a 5 health. And now these Swarmers are going to try everything they can to reduce this copter count, and the 5 health Worm is going to be able to eliminate it. Just down goes another copter, and Team GD bringing themselves to 4,800, but they're still now 1,000, and I think you're starting to see the point where Team New Earth has maintained that extra base long enough that I think they've had that for almost 10 turns now, and you can see it almost in the kill count itself. You're at 57 over 5,200. They're nearly 1,000 under. Well, now they're at more like 900 under, more like 500 under, but still, Team New Earth has managed to pull about 1,000 extra credits in the time that they've managed to hold on to that base, and it's starting to show in the general amount of material that's still on the board. Team New Earth continuing to hammer this line of underlings, never giving them a let-up break, and down goes another Garuda, and suddenly New Earth bring themselves up to 6150 over 5200, 67 over 5200, as down goes the Worm, and that might be the final nail in the coffin of this last stand. And now Team Newbie gonna go for the conversion on that base. The capture might be repelled, but now they're that's gonna force Team GD to divert more forces away to keep the base defended. And the Earth, meanwhile, continuing to use this line of helicopters to get big shots against these plasma cannons. More helicopters coming in to get the +1 bonus, and another -2 shot against that cannon. Is the cannon be able to survive this turn? A tank coming in for a 3-shot, and with the Marauder should be just enough to eliminate that tank. And suddenly, with that tank down, that base and Walker are going to be very, very exposed to Marauder attacks. The helicopters now continuing to hammer against these underlings. The Marine coming up for the cleanup, the underling going down, and now all of the bases looking extremely exposed. Team New Earth ballooning up their credit kill count this score, and really starting to take a very serious lead. Now Gout coming out swinging, continuing to try and reduce the Marine count, managing to repel the capture and putting a Pinger up to keep that position safe, and that will buy them another turn or two for that position. But there are a lot of copters, so I don't know how long that Pinger will be able to last. The shot coming off for the Walker eliminating one of those tanks. GD doing a pretty good job of climbing their way back, but how many kills can they get? They are still about 1,300 under. And the Eclipse moving forward, trying to get a shot, and down goes another one of the copters, and suddenly Team GD only about, I'd say, 800 to 700 underneath the score. Is it going to be enough, though? This Eclipse is going to be sacrificed for that copter kill, as in come the Marauders, and the Marauders going to be very effective at reducing that Eclipse health. And with this that last 10 health copter should be just enough, and down goes another Eclipse, and suddenly New Earth, really, every time that GD manages to even up the kill count, they put themselves in a position where New Earth can get a slightly bigger kill the next turn, and you're starting to see the effects of that in the sense that, like, Team GD, they just can't match the kill every turn anymore. Here comes the Earth now, continuing to hammer away at these mechas with these copters. And I think another thing is that Earth and Newbie have done such a great job of delegating their attacks. Earth is really only focused on the Titan player, and Newbie has really only focused on the Kralian player, and that strategy has worked out extremely well. And now the Pinzer from Gout going to get a nice Marauder kill here. Exactly the kind of kill that they needed. Is that copter going to go down? It's only going to go down to a 2 health, but with the last Swarmer, it should go down. And another copter killing in a big turn for Team GD, bringing themselves now only to 500 under. They've managed to keep that count from getting over 1,000 every turn. And now these mechas are going to be making their approach. Are they going to be able to stand up to those copters? There is only a 3 health and another Eclipse. These Eclipses are going to be really good tools at making sure those copters are held back. With the 2 of the Eclipses, you might not want to send your copters up, especially if they're weakened the way they are right now. And so it's going to require more Marines and Marauders to be produced and buy a few more turns. Newbie now continuing to bring his Marauder, and down goes another mecha. And Team New Earth bringing themselves to 8250 over 7300. These Marauders getting pulled back behind the line, and a battery coming out for Newbie. And that battery is exactly the sort of thing they're going to need to counter against that Eclipse Walker combination from the Titan player. And now the Grudge's mecha is starting to evaporate, and here comes a big shot against this Eclipse. That Eclipse is going to be weakened by sitting onto the base, and that's a pretty decent exchange. A 6-4 exchange, and then a 3-5 exchange to bring that Eclipse out of the game. And with that Engineer, those weakened copters will be right back into the fight almost immediately. And down goes the last Eclipse, and suddenly that one Eclipse is nowhere near as stronger as having 2 Eclipses on the board right now. So reducing one of those Eclipses is going to make those helicopters much, much stronger. And here comes the shot from that Walker. The Walker going to get a nice helicopter kill, and this Eclipse now going to get a second helicopter kill, and Team GD getting 1,000 credits in just 2 turns. And so that's what I'm talking about. And another Eclipse, if that third Eclipse was still up there, those helicopters will not dare make their approach right now, even with the battery at the top. And now these Marauders getting pulled back, getting some big heals on all the units in the back. Before making the approach, he wants to get as many heals as possible, getting these Marauders up to a 5 and 8 health. And now Earth sacrificing one of his helicopters in order to really look like he's going to get a huge shot with that battery just onto range. And now that Eclipse is going to get eliminated, and once again the Eclipse count is brought down to only 1. The tank now going to get a big shot against this plasma as well, getting a 2 to 3 exchange, but weakening the plasma is going to be very important, as keeping that plasma back away from that battery is going to be critical. And now the Walker is getting hammered away, down to a 4 shot, now down to a 2 health, and the Walker is now taken out of the fight. Then a second battery for Earth, and this is looking to be the death rattle, folks. I don't know how many more turns these teams can hold on for. These Pinzers are going to melt away to this battery copter Marauder combination. Swarmers will manage to get away, eliminate that one unit up into the top, evening up the credit score to 91 over 91, but now it looks like these teams are finally starting to run out of steam. These Pinzers, I don't know how they're going to stand up to all these copters and these batteries. And that 2 health Walker is going to get a final copter kill before departing this world on the next turn. The assimilator coming up, and if that Walker and assimilator can survive a turn, it could spell some trouble and maybe prolong this game another couple of rounds. Here comes Newbie now, and Newbie, knowing he wants to make this approach, he's going to focus fire down these Pinzer, getting a 4 shot on the Pinzer. Now the copter coming up with the +1 bonus. And the copter going to get a 2 shot against the Pinzer, and the Pinzer should go down to this full helicopter right here. And Team New Earth picking up another 450 credits, bringing the score back to 96-96. The score is still continuously even. I am just blown away at how well Team GD has done at keeping that kill count even. They were at 1 point 1,700 under, and then just brought themselves right back, even at the disadvantage of being behind 150 credits every round of the game. They've managed to keep that score exactly where they want it. But now it is going to start to be at 10,010. So Team GD has to bring out about another 1,100 points worth of damage in order to stay relevant in this match. And out come the underlings as blockers in front of that Pinzer. These Garudas going to try and make their approach behind the Pinzer, and then another underling to work as a meat shield so that those Garudas will be fresh when they make their attack. And now these Eclipses are going to try and deter those Copters from wanting to approach too quickly. A double assimilator coming up in a big +4 heal on that Walker, and suddenly those Copters are going to have to be a little more wary of where they want to attack from. And here they come. Team Newbie going to set up that 1 Copter, sacrifice a health to get a big setup, and a big 5 shot from that battery, and that Pinzer is absolutely going to go down this turn. Another 1 shot down on it, and that full health Copter should be just enough to eliminate its turn. Down goes the Pinzer, and now Team Newbie going to be making more approaches against these underlings. It's very important that those underlings are kept back. You do not want one of those underlings to be able to get a sneak attack on one of those batteries. It could be absolutely devastating. But down goes the underling, and now this Marine going to take advantage of that open mountain tile, get a big 4 shot against that other underling. Out comes the other Copter from Newbie as well. Newbie getting big heals on his Marauder and creating a very, very strong wall in front of that battery. And that battery can just fire, then you can get a +1 bonus on anything you want within 4 of that range. And now the double batteries are going to melt away these mecha lines. That tank going to do the finishing up the job and leaving that base very exposed. Earth now bringing up his Marine onto these mechas, also threatening more base positions onto that exposed base in this top center. Opted to bring another Marine out into the center as well. More Copters from Earth at the bottom. And now Gout going to try and reduce this, eliminating that Marine and keeping that base safe from a capture right away from one of the Marines. The Garuda's trying to jockey around, making a line. Those Garuda's making a very good last stand line. It's smart. Don't attack with those Garudas. You let those Copters and Marauders come to you first. Otherwise, you're going to get destroyed by that battery. And there's the GG. Oh my goodness. What a match. This was really, really interesting to see, especially the first couple of rounds when Team GD went for that early base capture. But this was one of those games where it kept feeling like one team had like, oh, this is the turn that's the death stroke, and then suddenly GD would come out of nowhere and like, nah, you're not going to be 1,300 points above us. We're going to even the score again with a base under. And then once again, the next turn, Team New Earth would be like, oh, okay, we're going to go 2,000 points above you this turn. Team GD comes back, no, that's not a death blow. We're going to come back with another 2,000 kills and even the score a second time, a third time, a fourth time. I couldn't believe how many times they managed to even up the score and keep themselves relevant in the game. Overall, though, I was really impressed at the way that Team New Earth was able to retake the center. We'll take a closer look at it in the post-game analysis. Turns I want to talk about are some of the earlier turns in this matchup revolving around the center base capture gambit from Team GD. Team GD Gout decided not to go for this capture on his natural, but instead see if he could make a capture onto the center and get an early base advantage and possibly a position advantage. Problem is the center wasn't real. Like I said before, the center, while these swamps can provide insulation, it can also make it extremely vulnerable, which is what we found to happen as the match went on. And I think Team New Earth did a really good job of responding to it. First of all, Newbie made the excellent choice of bringing his first capture with the Marine up to this position instead of this base position, as it allowed for him to get vision on both of these bases, and it worked out really well. You can see that Newbie is able to maintain vision on this base, and he sees that Gout isn't going for the base capture, and immediately they recognize that as he's going for center cheese. So the response from Earth is to go for a Marauder and a Marine, and the Marine can go up here for a shot. The Marine can move up to this position and get a hit on the underling, and then the Marauder can go up here and then here and eliminate the rest of the underling, and suddenly that center capture isn't going to work, which forces the hand of the Grudge to make the port with his mecha. Now this mecha port isn't really, it goes against a pretty cardinal rule here, is which you don't really ever want to port a mecha next to a base that's a Sapien player. As a Sapien player, next turn you'll see he goes Engineer, and the Engineer is able to make a conversion to Mecha 2. However, the idea here is I know that the Grudge is aware that the Engineer will make the conversion next turn, but the gambit is that if we can hold on to the center long enough, then the sacrifice of this mecha and giving them the extra 100 credits and losing the 100 credit swing is worth holding on to the space if we can hold on to it for enough turns to make the dividends from it work for us. But Team GD really prevented them from being able to do that. So as you see, the Marine and Marauder combination kind of forces this port from the mecha player. Then out comes the Engineer. Then this Marauder, instead of opting to move towards the center, decides to bring aggression to the Titan player. And this is where I think the New Earth's plan really paid off. The Titan player still has to make his second base capture. He hasn't really gotten enough of a head start. He made a big sacrifice bringing this mecha over here instead of going for the capture in order to hold on to the center. And suddenly there's a lot more force on the board for Team New Earth than there is overall for Team GD. And yeah, next turn there is a Garuda and Swarmy here to try and maintain some order in the center, but this helicopter is going to do a very good job of cutting off the center. And look at this plasma cannon has to come up because anything else in these Marauders are going to overwhelm this position, and suddenly the Titan player doesn't have anything to fight with. And these plasma cannons, we've seen this before in many other games. The plasma cannon is an excellent weapon, but it can also be an insane anchor. This is going to be a very defensive perimeter, and I know the Titan player, normally you want to say, well, they're trying to turtle and then go for a walker. That's great and all, but it's basically putting the Crawlian player in the position of you have to be the main damage dealer for at least the next 2 or 3 rounds. And then, once this conversion goes off, and the center underling is reduced, suddenly this position is completely left open and out comes the cap. And they just weren't able to hold on to the center. I think going for the standard capture and leaving the center alone was probably the better move against a double Sapien team. However, I can argue that it was a gambit, and sometimes gambits pay off and sometimes they just don't work. So valiant effort from both teams. Team New Earth pulling the safer play and ending up managing to pull a very well organized war of attrition. And once again, the other thing I want to talk about real quickly, can we just talk about how amazing a job Team GD did of keeping the score even the whole game? Look at this. There's been a handful of rounds where Team New Earth was really that far ahead. This was a rough round for them, Team 13, where it was 67, but then suddenly Team GD starting to climb the way back, only 750 under, and then suddenly back to 9,600. They had such a effective and efficient kills. And they managed to take a game that a standard player would probably, once this center was recaptured, I'm amazed they made it to round 18. Making it to round 18 after losing the center and being behind, I'm impressed, man. I expected them to be out by round 12 or round 13 after that base swing in the center, but they managed to extend it all the way to round 18, and they almost had it to round 19 if they really wanted to keep going. They could have made this game last at least a solid 22 to 30 rounds if they really wanted to go down the full you have to capture all my bases route. So that's all for now, guys. Definitely check out for the next game coming on. I'm going to try and post up the next game early this week, a little bit off schedule. This I try to keep the schedule, as I said before. I do general Android gaming on Thursday, and then I do Uniwar games on Sunday. But because I'm trying to cover both games in this series, I'm going to try and shoot for either Monday or Tuesday to have the second release to this video out. So look for the next series in the finals. It is going to be Game 1 going to Team New Earth, and Team GD gonna have to pull a win in under 18 round next time. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is EnnuiGoblin signing off.